Let's start with England because we gave Tommy T a hard time.
We did.
And they go out and they get what you might call a statement win without a lot of their big guns, from Saka to Bellingham to Cole Palmer. They absolutely wiped the floor, I thought, with Serbia. Let me just get this out of the way. Credit to Tuchel because he understands enough of this country how the bandwagon works, and if they screw this up, they'll still qualify. But the negativity,
he was under pressure already.
But this is what he needed.
Yeah,
Serbia, I have to say, made it very easy for him, especially my man Stojkovic, who one of my favorite footballers growing up.
Absolutely.
But yeah, totally misread this in the setup, going 5-4-1. Poor Dusan Vlahovic up front on his own against potentially not fully fit Mark Gay. Made no sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I think Stojkovic has been terrible since he took over the national team anyway. So that is still a team with good players, but you're right. Like the game plan was wrong. And to be fair with Serbia, we often kind of big them up, and actually they often disappoint us, right?
They're usually less than the sum of their parts, I think is the technical term.
But you're right. But I think Tuchel needed a win like this, needed a performance like this after 4 games where we were left a bit like, there's not much to learn here. They don't play great. They against teams that are not very good, arguably. Serbia is better than Andorra, but England still, I think, had the best performance under Tuchel, and it's good to see.
I think you're right about the performance, right? Because I know in that first half, they score, they go 2-0 up. And I thought, okay, and I'm not being mean to Gareth Southgate, but I thought under the old England manager, who, if he was in that situation, right, lackluster performance against Andorra, whatever, because look, it's hard. It's still 10 bodies in the box, no matter how bad they are, right? You said, okay, let's just bring it home, 2-0. At that point, we were virtually guaranteed a spot at the World Cup. Case closed. But instead, I thought like he wanted to keep the intensity up.
Yeah.
He wanted to keep the performance up. The players followed him on it. And it may be that, some of these guys, when you look sort of from the midfield up, maybe Declan Rice is the only person who can feel pretty confident he'll be starting at the World Cup. Everybody else, and Harry Kane, obviously, everybody else is kind of fighting for a spot. And they all responded. And I thought that was almost, I don't say it was brave from Tuchel because Serbia were objectively so bad. Even after making the change at halftime, it almost made them worse because they weren't prepared for it. But I thought that's really encouraging.
Yeah, it was. And you're right. There's the first goal for Madueke, one for Gehi, one for Konsa, which is always good. The Madueke goal is a great team goal too. Elliot Anderson was... We said it after the Andorra game, you can't really judge anybody, even a guy with his first cap. This was obviously a step up, even if, as we said, Serbia were not very good. And I thought Anderson was really good. And I don't think he would start at the World Cup, but he's a good player to have in your squad, whether it's one space for him or Wharton. We will find out later in the season. But that was good for him. But that Madueke goal is a great goal with movement, with triangles, with intensity, verticality, which I think Tuchel will like a lot. There's goals on set pieces, which is good because it's something to have with you as a team going into a tournament. Rice takes them really well, obviously, with his Arsenal links. They have big people. They got a little bit lucky on some. But so, I thought overall it was something that I think Tuchel would be very happy with.
Kind of the elephant in the room. And it's funny because, again, lifting the lid a little bit, there's been a lot of negativity about Jude Bellingham out there and people talking about Jude Bellingham's dad. And these stories, they don't come out of nowhere, right? Obviously, Bellingham's injured right now. He's out of the picture. I mean, is this a thing? Is this an issue? Is it that Tuchel needs to deal with?
Where would you play? So when he's back, let's say he's back to starting with Real Madrid in a kind of midfield 3 over there, and you're Thomas Tuchel. So Rice is your indispensable, one of the double pivot. What do you have next? Or do you change your midfield to a midfield 3? What do you do with Bellingham, and what's his best position for England?
That is a great question because we don't even know right now how he's going to be used at Real Madrid. We said in the 3, but in the 3 with what responsibility? Yeah. And what would it mean for Cole Palmer, for example? So I think there's a lot of issues there. And also there's the personality aspect of it. Look, let's not hide about it. It is an issue that a lot of people highlighted during the Euros. Let's proceed with Bellingham. And I'd like to kind of do 2 things with this. One, we can talk about, hypothetically, where he fits on the pitch. I mean, you asked me before. I think his future is in central midfield, both for Real Madrid and for England. This thing at number 10, it was a necessity. He did the job really, really well. England have other options there, better options. Real Madrid have other options there, better options in that role. Bellingham was one of the best central midfielders in Europe. I've said this a million times. I'm not going to repeat myself. You agree with that, right?
Yeah,
If he wants to.
Yeah, if he wants to, and if he's in a double pivot or not, because he still has to defend far more than we've seen him. What seems like willing to defend when he played in a two, especially for England. There's games where he's fine. Rice can do all the defensive work because you're going to have 70% of the ball. There are other games where it's not enough, and that's the issue. Is what does he want himself? Because people say he wants to score goals and assist and be around the opposition box more than anything else, more than doing the kind of dirty work. And if that's the case, then that role in a double pivot doesn't really suit him.
I would like to think that once you're at a World Cup training camp, Bellingham looks around and says, assuming everybody's fit, hey, that Cole Palmer guy, that Morgan Rogers guy, they're really good. Are they better than me? No, of course not. However, is the guy who's going to come in alongside Declan Rice in that double pivot role, is that guy substantially worse than he would look at the trade-off? He would say, I like to think he's such an egomaniac that he would say, hey, look, I'm better than Palmer and Rogers, but Palmer and Rogers are far better than whoever comes in alongside Declan Rice. Yeah. And that is why at this World Cup, I will sacrifice myself. I will go there, especially in the knockout. Early on, we play them up, it's fine. But once in the knockouts, once you're playing France, and once you're playing Brazil, and so on, and you need somebody to be that leadership, to go and growl, and Declan Rice can't do it on his own. Plus, I'm a much better passer than Declan Rice. I will go and I will embrace that number 6 if we play 4-2-3-1. I would hope that he would understand this and he would go through this.
Yeah, no, me too. I'm not convinced. And also, I'm not convinced about his quality as a passer. And I think if you have Rice there, you maybe need a better passer next to him that will also put the work and the shift in. And then that's where there's a kind of a Bellingham dilemma in the sense that you bench Palmer or put Palmer wide, so you can have Palmer on the right, Saka on the left, Bellingham as a kind of a 10 or, slightly different, a bit of that freedom in midfield, plus, let's say, Rice and Elliot Anderson.
Do you need a passer? Wharton or Anderson, that's what you're hoping for.
Yeah.
But one guy's still a kid.
Yeah.
In fact, they're both still kids.
Both still kids.
And I don't know Anderson, this season at Forest, given, I have no idea how they're going to play now with Ange, we're going to get to that later. But I have no idea if he can continue developing and how he's going to develop. So these are a lot of things for him to sort out. One thing that they made a huge deal out of here in England, and understandably so, is that, other than Rice and Kane, we're talking basically B team for England from the midfield and strikers. And you look at Morgan Rogers, Madueke we've talked about, Gordon, Rashford came on. These guys, are these guys kind of auditioning for the position? Do you think Tuchel's told them, like, hey, look, I know Saka and Palmer are Saka and Palmer, but I'm going to pick whoever's better when the World Cup comes around?
No, I think they know that if there's no injuries to Palmer and Saka, they are the Serb. What's interesting for Madueke, for example, is that it clearly looks like him or Bowen for that right-hand side behind Saka. And clearly on those two games, he was the one starting. He was the one that more than Bowen. So it looks like, for example, Madueke is ahead of Bowen. For the number 10 position, is he between Rogers and Eze to be the sub of Palmer? It looks like it.
And the sub of Bellingham, if Bellingham has his way.
Yeah, exactly. Because at some point, even if you're allowed to take 25 or 26 players to the 2026 World Cup, which should be the case, again, there's no reason why they would change and go back to 23, you still can't take like 12 forwards and just the rest for the other positions. So Tuchel will have to make a decision. And we saw Eze starting against Andorra and obviously not starting against Serbia when Roger started in his position. So he feels a bit like, okay, let me try you. I'll try you. I saw what you could bring. Let me try you now in this position, in that position. I see you. And it still feels like Tuchel has used a lot of players really so far since he took over in January.
Which is a very Tuchel move.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. Completely. And I think soon he will have a good idea. Okay, I want Saka and then, I don't know, Madueke. I want Palmer and Rogers. I want Gordon and Eze on the left, or Rashford and Eze, or Eze and somebody else.
It seems like the left is the position that's probably on paper most up for grabs, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, you're right. There's not one Saka or one Palmer for the left.
But I think what helps Madueke there too is the fact that he can and has played on the left loads, and he can do that very well.
Yeah.
And will probably play more. I mean, if he gets into Arsenal, if he cracks Arsenal starting 11 when everybody's fit, it's going to be on the left. It's not going to be on the right.
Yeah.
Other point on this, Harry Kane's backup, we assume it's Watkins.
Yeah.
But I'm also thinking somebody who can also step in and play center forward. I mean, Palmer's done it. I don't know if that necessarily works. You have to make a lot of adjustments for that. We see Morgan Rogers do it occasionally.
Yeah.
That's something that might help Rogers more than somebody else.
Yeah, a bit of versatility. I guess the same with Rashford, who can play different positions. Madueke, you said, right or left. He can do both, even if he's more naturally better on the right hand side. But yeah, so I think this is good, and I don't think Tuchel will have a kind of massive headache on who do I pick, because you're right. I don't think as much as, because we haven't spoken about Foden, for example. Why if Foden becomes good again?
Who? Who's
exactly?
Who's that? Who?
But he might become at some point like Phil Foden, you know, that guy.
Yeah.
Or not. But if he does,
we could talk about Jadon Sancho too. Then why not?
Exactly too, for that left hand side, or wherever it feels like it. But yeah, so that's also and Jack Grealish. So there will be people who could
really pushing the boat out.
People who could come back into his mind. However, I think he's 26 should be still pretty straightforward.
I think he has an embarrassment of riches, but like I said, I think the only people whose places are 100% booked are Rice in the attacking arm.
Yeah.
Are Rice, Kane, and Saka. I think even Palmer. You could see a scenario where things don't work out, and maybe because he has other options. Maybe Palmer too, but like it's he's going to have some big calls to make, and we'll have a lot of time to talk about it. On the other hand, at the back, the situation is not so pretty. There were suggestions Mark Gay would miss this game, and I'm thinking to myself, all right, man, Dan Burn against Dusan, like that's gonna be fun to watch. In the end, Gay started, scored. You played with Ezri Konsa. On paper, you could say, okay, this is an England team where the center backs come from Crystal Palace and Aston Villa. Not great on paper.
Yeah.
Obviously, Gay might have been a Liverpool player, might yet be a Liverpool player. And Konsa obviously could play at a higher level too. Neither one screams out Bobby Moore right now.
Yeah.
Gay possibly over time. And then behind them, it's not great.
I mean, it's John Stones, really. That's the best centre-back they have. It's just he pulled out before the Andorra game because he was injured. There's always question mark over his fitness. But I think if you put a Stones-Gehi where they're both 100% partnership there, it's very solid and it complements each other really well. The thing is, with Stones, I think it's difficult to plan because of his injuries.
And it's also, I think, not on a level with the rest of the team.
But
I think Levi Colwill missing the season and possibly the World Cup, I have no idea when he's coming back or what condition he'll be in, I think is another blow in terms in terms of options. In the fullback role, I was surprised that see Reece James twice.
Yeah.
I don't, I'm just so used to seeing, obviously that's a position where maybe we might see Trent coming back or so on. I think they're okay there. I think Reece James is more plug and play than Trent, because once you have Trent, you have to make adjustments that you don't make with Reece James. Flip side with James is obviously his injury record, right?
Yeah.
Vermento, as you know, I'm a huge fan of.
Yeah, and did well on that.
And I think he can play either flank easily.
Yeah. I think he's in if the season with Newcastle is good, and obviously playing in Champions League will also help him. And then you've got like Miles Lewis Skelly, for example, who started the first game, played the first game, and then was left out completely of the squad. And obviously they had to because they had too many players. But I thought that was a little bit strange, and I'm not sure if he's ready to play for England in a World Cup.
A lot's going to depend
in the rounds.
A lot's going to depend on what his season looks like for Arsenal, because with the arrival of Hincapié as well, you can see. I mean, again, talking about a guy with options, right? Arteta can put Hincapié right back, Timber at left back. You've got Calafiori at left back, Ben White is still there somewhere,
Yeah.
right? Lewis Skelly's still a guy who played midfield most of his life.
Yeah.
And then he had a tremendous half a season at left back. So, yeah, that's somebody who I don't think that's somebody whose name you don't write down in ink for the World Cup squad at this stage. But overall, they're in good shape. They remind us they can raise their game. I was impressed with the way Tuchel did that. I think, like I said, some of his predecessors, they would have said, all right, let's just play this safe, see it out, get the win, and then we don't have to talk to all these England reporters until October.
Yeah.
But instead they went for it, and they were vindicated. All right, enough Three Lions, especially the weird one at the bottom who appears to be waving. What's that all about? Anyway, how about some quick hits, Jules?
Let's go, Gab.
Erling Haaland bags 5 goals, and Telo Asgard gets another 4 in just 26 minutes as Norway destroy Moldova 11-1. Jules, given Italy beat the same Moldova team 2-0, Luciano Spalletti, thank you. I can't decide if Norway are really good or we possibly are, just really, really bad.
Yeah, you're not very good, and Moldova are not very good either, to be fair. And I don't think Norway had to break a sweat anyway, but to score 11 goals is pretty remarkable. 5, as you said, for Holland.
He could have had 6. He gave up the penalty.
Yeah, and gave 2 assists as well. 11 goals where Solos doesn't even score assist, or Nusa neither. You think, like, what were you actually doing in that game? But for Asgard, this is more goals, 4 obviously in 26 minutes than he had this season with Rangers, because he hadn't scored yet for Rangers, that he had last season when he was at Luton in the second half of the season, because he only had 1 goal. So it was just his moment, I guess, and he will never do that again in his whole career.
You know my thoughts on running up the score. I disapprove of it. In this case, though, I can't blame Norway. They have to do it because if Italy win out all their games and beat Norway, it's going to come down to goal difference. And the way this is going with the goal difference, Italy are going to have to score 7 or 8 against Norway, which I somehow don't think is going to happen.
Yeah, and talking about Italy, Gab, did you ever think that they would give up a 4-2 lead with 3 minutes to go against Israel?
No, just like I didn't think that they would take 40 shots on goal the way they did against Estonia. We're in a brave new world. I have a column up about how Gattuso has gotten Italy to attack, but maybe at the expense of how to defend.
Yeah.
By the way, that Israel game, I mean, hats off to Ben Shimon. He completely outfoxed Gattuso in the first half hour, the rotating front 3. Gattuso had a plan of his own with Di Marco on the left, which meant that there was no cover there. Italy got super lucky with my boy Gigio Donnarumma, who flailed miserably at a ball into the box. Somehow the referee Vincic overturned it after the VAR review, saw a foul, which I think wasn't a foul.
I agree.
Italy, 2 weirdo own goals, slicing the ball in the back of the net from Bastoni, Locatelli screwing up. And in the end, Italy, 4-2, they concede twice, and then immediately after it goes to 4-4, they score the winner in the 91st minute.
Mistake by Perez as well.
I love the reaction from Italy. I love the attacking intent. I love the 2 strikers. I cannot understand the defense. They're not just individual defensive errors; they're collective defensive errors.
They're very imbalanced. I mean, that system is not very good.
It's attacking. It's entertaining.
Yeah,
it's different. It takes. We built our whole legend of the 4 World Cups on defending and being boring and outsmarting the opponents. Now we were outsmarted and we don't defend, but hey, we attack. We're averaging 5 goals a game under Gattuso. France go a goal down at home to Iceland and end up winning 2-1 despite Aurélien Tchouameni's late red card and those mean boos for Adrien Rabiot. What's that all about? Well, were you worried at some point?
I was not worried, but I was disappointed because I thought there was a lot of good things against Ukraine, including Michael Olise as the number 10. And then this time he was not good at all. He gave away the ball terribly on the Icelandic goal. And then the French, I thought it was just quite laborious and not good. Kylian saving the day with a goal on a penalty and an assist for Barcola. And then VAR saving them as well, because that second goal that Iceland scored late when they were 11 men against 10, I think should have stood. So
you think so?
Yeah, definitely. I don't see much of a foul there at all. So I think we got away with one there, and the booze is just the Parc des Princes, because the game was in Paris. Saying, hello again to Adrien Rabiot, who went and played for the enemy.
So what, they'd rather see Zaire Emery in there or somebody like that?
Or just for him that he
Just
never
not
played for
Rabiot.
Marseille, basically. It was more the fact that he decided to play for Marseille and he didn't like it. No Lionel Messi and Nicolas Otamendi get sent off inside of half an hour, and Argentina lose away to Ecuador. Gab, is this a big deal?
It's a big deal because it's South American qualifying and they were up for it. Obviously, no Messi. The guy's not going to play again 2 games like this.
Yeah.
But, they had Lautaro out there. They had McAllister. They had their big guns out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Apart from Messi.
The red card, as coming after half an hour, really, really screwed them up.
Yeah.
Otamendi, not smart, but equally it's the fault of Balerdi there completely, who completely misjudges the ball over the top. And they tried to get the reaction. It got feisty at the end because it always does at South America. I think Argentina are going to be okay. Going into this, 1-11, I'm not a huge fan of their lineup. I think they need help, especially at the back. Tagliafico, I don't want to see these guys still out there. If I were Argentina, I'd be concerned. But hey, maybe I worry too much because that Messi guy will presumably still be there. Jules, we're not done because we have more quick hits.
Yes.
Wild stuff. And El Alto, Jules. Bolivia trip up Brazil 1-0 to clinch 7th place and a playoff spot.
Yeah.
This is old school. The Brazilian FA, not happy.
Not happy at all. I mean, Bolivia scored on a penalty that was very, very soft, to say the least. It was a very aggressive game, as you can expect. There was a lot of weird things, even from the referee in that game, that Carlo Ancelotti was not happy with a very much a B Brazil team, maybe even a C team, if you want, from him. So he can't really complain either because he didn't really set up the team to go there and win in altitude, obviously, too.
Yeah, he wasn't going to put his, other than Bruno Guimaraes and Allison, who, let's face it, is a goalkeeper, stands around, right? He wasn't going to go and have these guys run around at altitude. By the way, El Alto means high.
Yeah.
It's not even La Paz. It's like the town that's up the mountain above La Paz.
They do on purpose.
They do this on purpose.
Yeah, completely. And Gab, Bolivia qualify, as you said, for a World Cup playoff spot because Venezuela failed to beat Colombia at home in a big night for the other Luis Suarez, the Colombian one.
Yeah, who plays for Sporting. The new Gyökeres. I mean, more of a...
I mean, he also played for Marseille and nobody remembers him there. So,
but they might... You know what's funny? He's the third Luis Suarez, the original Luis Suarez, the one who actually won the Ballon d'Or.
Yes.
He's the real Luis Suarez. This is the Luis Suarez we can say who's still playing and doesn't bite people, doesn't spit at them, doesn't behave, doesn't act like he belongs in a cage or in a little hamster wheel. Anyway, this was a heartbreaker. I actually was going to text Ale Moreno, and then I said, no, he says mean.
I thought the same.
Then I said, he says mean things. This was coming. It was so loud. Even just watching on TV, it was so loud in the stadium. Colombia, nothing to play for.
Yeah.
They take the lead. They score straight away. Then they get pegged back. And they take the lead again. It's like, this is fine. We're going to ride it out. But no, losing 6-3 at home is a big one.
It's bad.
It took a while, but it finally happened. Nuno Espirito Santo is out. OUT out at Nottingham Forest. And our boy, Ange Postecoglou, makes a triumphant return. Did Mr. Marinakis get this right, Jules?
I don't know, Gab. Time will tell, obviously. If
Would you have sacked him for Ange Postecoglou? Let me turn it this way.
Yeah, so the sacking, I understand. There's Edu now who, obviously, Nuno is not his guy. He's arrived, in a lot of jobs, not just in football, but when a boss arrives, he usually brings his own people in, which you can understand. So there was always that side of it where Nuno was never Edu's guy. They didn't really get on. And at some point, Edu will want to bring a guy, as we say enough on the show, that your sporting director and your manager and your CEO have to all be on the same line for things to work out at that kind of level anyway.
And your owner in this case.
And your owner in this
most
case.
importantly.
Exactly, most importantly. So I can understand the sacking. It's for Nuno, it might be harsh because he had a great season last season where they overachieved, where they didn't play really good football, but they got the result. And to be fair, if you're Marinakis, you probably at some point in the season expected more than a FA Cup semi-final defeat and a 7th place in the league because you were, for most of that season, in for a top 4 finish. And considering City's struggle last year, you could have seen your team beating them in the FA Cup semi-final and reaching the final. So I think at the end of the season, Marinakis was disappointed by how the season finished and the last 6 weeks of the season already. Is Ange the right call? I don't know. It's certainly, in terms of extreme style of football, from what Nuno built to what Ange will offer, this is the case. So we'll see.
I just going to say 2 things about this. even before Edu arrived, I mean, we know who right. There's a background to this, which is two very powerful intermediaries, advisors in Kia Jarabshan and George Mendes, who are behind this, right?
Yes,
and they're
absolutely.
kind of taking turns having influence over the club. This is very obvious. Just look at the
Everybody
players.
knows it,
And we know Edu is Kia's guy, and Nuno obviously is Uncle George's guy. But put that to one side. It's a formula that people have criticized, but it's working for Forest. And it's undoubtedly worked for Forest thus far.
Yeah.
After what Nuno Espirito Santo said and the local media reaction, clearly briefed, right? Mr. Marinakis had no choice. I can't have a guy.
But then Nuno said that because he knew this was coming, right?
But you know what? It's a chicken and egg situation, right? You can say it's coming, but you can do it with some dignity, or you can go and crap over Mr. Marinakis and leave him no choice. And then, oh, look, he looks like the big fat weird, bad guy again for the 10 millionth time. But you know what's happening behind this. You know what's going on in football because you have access to Uncle George, who knows everything, right? And you know that, hey, look, Edu's there. Oh, what's Edu doing? Am I aligned with Edu? Come on, I didn't like that. I didn't like that from Nuno. But look, he's showed he can do a job in the right circumstances. Maybe do it somewhere else.
And for Ange, first game for Forest away at Arsenal. That's it for you. On Monday, we talked about how Uli Hoeneß's comments on the Nico Jackson deal at Bayern. Gab, you have some follow-up.
Yeah. So first of all, apparently I misread, and I wanted to issue a correction on what he actually said. When he was saying the fee was actually 13.5 million euros. Because the player and the agent gave up money. He meant 13.5 million is what it cost Bayern, but Chelsea obviously still got the 16.5 million.
Yeah.
And he was somehow weirdly trying to defend the deal, making it seem as if Nico Jackson is a 1-year rental. Now, what I've been told, what he's talking about is this, which I think is even more absurd and demented. So roughly speaking, Nico makes about 7 million. I'm going to do this in euros because how it was told to me. 7 million euros at Chelsea. Bayern did a deal where they would take him on loan and they would pay him with bonuses, between 10 and 12 million for just one season.
Right.
And then obviously they also worked out a deal with his intermediary. I'm assuming probably 2-3 million. But they didn't want to pay they did not want to pay the 16.5 million euro loan fee. So they got Nico to say, all right, rather than the 12 million, I'll take 10 million or whatever, to shave some of that off. Yeah. And they got the intermediary to save some of that off. And Uli presented it like, haha, look, we're so smart. I mean, no. The guy's coming on loan. You have all the leverage. Why do you have to increase his salary to 10 to 12 million?
That's true.
For one season? It's such a weird thing. The bottom line is Chelsea still get their money. So if you're a Chelsea fan, you're happy. But this just speaks to the dysfunction at Bayern right now and the situation between Uli Hoeneß and Max Eberl, the sporting director. I don't think this is what Max signed up for. But then again, he should have known.
Yeah.
The Camp Nou will not be ready for Barcelona's home opener against Valencia on Saturday, Jules.
No, it won't be, Gabi, which we kind of like, it's big news because...
Don't laugh at Laporta's
But
pain.
we knew it was the case. So instead of playing at Montjuic, where they've been playing for, what, two years now?
I think they can't because I think it's booked out.
So because they can't play there, they will have to play in the mini stadium, if you want, where the women's team usually play, the mini stadium. Yeah, the Johan Cruyff stadium. There, 6,000 seaters, so nowhere near as much as the company, obviously, but also Montjuic. For this game against Valencia, that will feel very much like a training ground game because it will feel like a training ground atmosphere, a bit like when Real Madrid were playing at the training ground as well during COVID. They're more worried even about the PSG game in the Champions League, which obviously comes very soon. And in UEFA rules, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have to have played already a game before playing a Champions League game in your stadium. So they won't be able to go straight into the PSG game at the Camp Nou, at the new Camp Nou. So this is a bit of a headache again.
If they got no organized, they could have played this game in Miami.
Yeah. The Premier League and Manchester City have settled their dispute over associated party transaction, or APT. Gab, what does this mean?
All right. This is super complicated. I think super boring to most people, but in a nutshell, what it means is They'll stop paying lawyers' fees for a while because they'll stop suing each other. It means for Manchester, both sides are spinning this as a victory. Manchester City is saying, aha, we can now push the Etihad deal through. And the Premier League says, aha, look, our APG rules are valid in principle anyway. Other upshot of this, interest-free loans. Some clubs that benefit from interest-free loans from owners, they'll be in place still as well. So I guess that's good.
So what? Nothing has changed, basically.
Pretty much. They're going to have to rewrite rules at some point.
Breaking news, Gab, as we're recording the show, we've just learned that the FA have just charged Chelsea with 74 accounts related to what, and what is this all about?
So these are charges relating to irregularities in transfers and transfer reporting and accounting for those transfers and dealings with intermediaries. Now, it appears to me, and this is just breaking, we only have the statement, and we'll delve into this further on our next show, no doubt, as more things become clear. But this seems to be all stemmed from the Abramovich era. And I think this is basically what Chelsea's current owners, Clearlake and Todd Bowley, what they self-reported to UEFA after they took over the club and did their due diligence. Of course, they ended up reaching a settlement with UEFA. I would assume they would do the same with the Football Association. Kosovo beat Sweden 2-0 as Alexander Isak plays the final 20 minutes. Jules, 1 point from 2 games in a tough group that includes Switzerland and Slovenia. Not looking good.
No, it's not good for my friend John Dahl Thomason, who is the coach who was on holidays with me in the summer, and he's 2 boys playing football with my 2 boys. We saw Isak for 18 minutes. Does that mean he's ready to start for Liverpool? I'm not sure, but this was not good against Sweden. Against a good Kosovo team, to be fair, that has youth, has talent, but it's a game that you don't expect Sweden to lose, really.
Maybe if we don't qualify for the World Cup, Sweden can keep us company.
Yeah, exactly. Joao Cancelo pops it late to give Portugal a 3-2 win away in Hungary, Gab.
Yes, and you know who has set yet another international goal-scoring record. Because, of course, because you're a hater, you didn't mention the fact that Cristiano Ronaldo scored a penalty.
Yeah,
it's his 35th penalty in the last 3 years, as somebody helpfully pointed out.
Yes.
In the eternal battle between him and Messi, Messi only has 3. It doesn't matter. Hungary, I don't think, played badly at all. I think Portugal kind of took this a little bit for granted. It's a big win, and I'm happy for Joao Cancelo because he deals with so much hate from so many silly people. Jules, in all my Cancelo excitement, I didn't mention the record that Cristiano equalized.
Yes.
Which is, you're going to say it's a bit of a Fugazi record.
Oh, I know what it is already. Yeah.
It is the most goals scored in World Cup qualifying. I think it's 39.
Yes.
And whose record did it equal?
Oh, that's a very good pub quiz question.
And you know it.
I know.
Do you want to tell us?
Well, no, you should tell us because you asked the question.
We just talked about it. I know you know.
Oh, yeah, Ruiz, but like...
Carlos Ruiz,
yeah, of course. So.
The legendary Guatemalan.
Yeah.
And I have to ask you a question. Guatemala, obviously, not exactly an assembly line of talent other than Carlos Ruiz. Is he the greatest ever player from Central America, Carlos Ruiz?
I think that's a great question. Behind Shaka Hislop, obviously.
No, but I'm just talking from...
Okay, so
we're
the islands.
going to leave the Caribbean out.
Okay.
We're just going to mention kind of south of Mexico all the way down, including Panama.
Then he's got a big... Yeah, he's got a...
He'd be up there. Keylor Navas,
yeah.
Deli Valdez, Majigo Gonzalez. Is there somebody else I'm forgetting?
I don't think so.
All right, let us know on X because I want to establish who is the greatest ever Central American player. And again, we're going to leave out. We're not talking CONCACAF here.
No Mexico.
Can't be north of Mexico. Can't be Caribbean. Just these bits. Remember Ivan Toney? He's at Al Ahly now. And of course, Al Ahly won the Asian Champions League.
Yes.
And he reckons the Saudi Pro League is on a par with the Premier League.
Yeah. He said that his team would be like finishing around the top 4 in the Premier League, which for me, who watch a lot of Saudi football,
more than I do,
is obviously not true. We all know that. They've got good players. They've got Mathieu Jasler as a coach. They have a good setup there, but no. And there's the even the rhythm of games and the intensity of games over there. And it's just not a criticism of the Saudi League. It's just the way it is. I can't compare to not even just the Premier League, but the big European 5 leagues anyway.
Well, I think also the bad teams in Saudi Arabia are really bad. And I think probably worse than the bad teams in the Premier League as well. And also they don't have. Yes, they play in the Asian Champions League, but until the knockouts, they play the Muppet Show. Yeah. So, there's many reasons not to go. I just wonder.
I guess you have to put your league, like Cristiano does the same. A few of the players who play in Saudi, you have to do it, right? You have to say that.
I blame the people who asked them the question, though.
Maybe.
This comparing leagues. It's kind of, just say, how are you finding there, whatever. Tell me about it. Tell me about the Asian Champions League. You don't have to get people to rank because it becomes a lose-lose for him, right?
Yeah. Tottenham boss Thomas Frank would like to see one timeout per half. Gab, do you like this?
No, I don't. I can see why he would like it because he's a very tactical manager and he can spot things and go and make adjustments. I mean, we effectively have this kind of in August, September, and with the water breaks, right? That's essentially what it is. From a fan's perspective, no, because when do you call timeouts? We're both basketball fans, right? You call timeouts to break the other team's momentum, right? So when things are, and emerging from a timeout, timeouts are, when they make tactical adjustments, they're almost always defensive adjustments. So yes, it would help more tactical managers, more defensive teams. It would take steam out of the game. And it of course goes against 160 years of football.
I don't like this idea.
So, but I can see how it would benefit him. And so, Thomas, I have no problem with you saying this. It would help you and your team, and you're doing your job. But yeah, for the rest of us, no. Right. We gave Mauricio Pochettino a hard time on Monday. But was the United States 2-0 win against Japan enough to change your mind, Jules? Were you convinced, or did you see some defensive errors from Japan?
We saw like a B Japan team, let's be honest here, certainly without some of the stars. But like we said on Monday, there was not everything was bad in the USA defeat to South Korea before, especially in that second half. And again, there were some positives, I thought, in this game. From Balogun, from Christian Pulisic, lovely goal.
He looked really sharp.
He looked really sharp. So there was a lot of positives, and I'm just hoping that the noise, that Poch doesn't really listen to the noise, that he has a plan. This is all I care about, and a direction, and that this is part of the plan, whether it's trialing players or trying things, towards the World Cup. So comes March when things will get serious, obviously, because we'll be so close to it. Then he knows exactly where he is, with who, and how to start the World Cup. Then that's all good. But I thought that was a good win.
You said you hope Pochettino doesn't listen to the noise. I guarantee you he doesn't listen to the noise. He doesn't listen to anyone.
No,
he's surrounded in an echo chamber of people who say, yes, boss, and step and fetch it. So
as long as he's got a plan, but like we said on Monday, we're not sure he has.
Just don't say stupid things when you talk. And also realize if you give an interview in Spain, people in the U.S. will notice, and they're going to pick up on your quotes. The 1960s are over, bro.
Kasper Schulman is the new Bayer Leverkusen boss. Gab, we mentioned it very briefly on Monday, where he sounded likely. Sensible choice. Do you like that choice?
I think so. Obviously, he was the Denmark coach for a while, has experiences before. His previous experience in the Bundesliga, not great, obviously, at Mainz, but very bad at Mainz. But he's grown since then. I think what you need is a calming influence, which obviously Ten Hag, not it. And also somebody who can work with what's there. And the transfer window's closed. These are players that Ten Hag either brought in or did not bring in, depending who you believe. And he can work with them. Does he get you excited? No, he's Danish. Very few Danish things are exciting other than maybe Noma and the Schmeichel family.
That's harsh. That's harsh.
Something Danish that excites you.
Copenhagen? It's a lovely, lovely city, Copenhagen.
Says the guy from Paris.
Come on. There's levels. I didn't say it was better than Paris. I was saying it's a lovely city.
The Ballon d'Or winner has been decided, Jules. The votes are in. Now, unfortunately, though, we can't tell you who it is because we don't actually know.
Nobody.
Only 3 or 4 people know.
Yeah, that's right.
One of them is our boy Vincent Garcia, who loves this whole business with the I know, but you don't, blah, blah, blah. You know how much I care about this, so I will let you explain the procedure. The ceremony is on September 22nd.
Yeah, that's right.
When
so it's very
I'm
soon.
so happy. I will be here.
Yeah.
But actually, it's September 22nd in the evening, so I will be here on the next show, but we're going to have to discuss it. I hope there's a boycott or something.
So the September 22nd, which is a Monday night, if you were wondering, in Paris, will be the Ballon d'Or ceremony. All the votes have been casted. Is that what we say?
Have been cast.
Cast already.
Tabulated and counted as well.
Yes, exactly. So
and Vincent knows.
2 weeks ago. Yeah, of course. People, like those 3 people, as you mentioned, know. Nothing has been said to the clubs, whether it's for the men's award or the women's award. So amongst the nominees, if you think that you can win it, you have to show up at the ceremony and wait to see if it's your name that comes out and it's been said. It's between 2 players, obviously, Lamine Yamal and Ousmane Dembele. I don't think Rafinha really has a chance, although he was probably Barcelona's best player, better than Lamine last season. But yeah, I'm very much hoping that it's Ousmane Dembele who lifts the Ballon d'Or on the 22nd.
the guy who was top scorer in La Liga also has no chance. Yeah.
No, not him.
Sorry,
I mean, he
Kylian.
says it himself, Kylian, but yeah, not him.
But how does he know? He doesn't know. None of us know.
But
Only
but
Vincent knows.
But I was at Rennes yesterday, in Paris and Rennes, and I know you don't care, and I know a lot of people. I know Craig Burley doesn't care about the Ballon d'Or, which is fair enough. I care because a lot of the players care. So if they care, we should care. That's my idea about it. But people at Rennes, where Ousmane Dembélé obviously spent 5 years pretty much in the academy and then the first team, care a lot. And for a club like that, which is a big club in France, with one of the best academies in Europe, for them to have produced a Ballon d'Or winner would be something very special. And being there yesterday pretty much all day and talking to a lot of people for an article that will come on the website, hopefully if Ousmane obviously wins it shows you. I know individual awards in a collective sports is strange. I get that. But I promise you, they were so excited just at the idea of one of the boys that they saw growing up in their club might become the best player in the world, might be kind of voted really, because this is what it is, was very special to them. So I hope that they're happy on the 22nd of September.
Obviously, we know what happened last year. Everybody assumed Vinicius was going to win it, and then there was, and then somehow, weirdly, because I realize only 3 or 4 people need it. So obviously, Vincent knows because he's the big boss. I'm assuming people vote electronically somehow. So I'm assuming there's an IT guy and a nerd at least who knows. I don't know that anybody else would know. I'm pretty sure Vincent doesn't sit there and count the votes up himself. Maybe he does, right? But obviously there was a leak before. In years past when we were kids, we always knew because France Football would go and they'd interview the guy the week before and stuff, and you'd see them show up, right? It would be cool if they went and they interviewed like 5 different people, use that as an excuse, and so you wouldn't know. But anyway, do you think there's going to be a leak? And if, let's say hypothetically, the leak is that Yamal has won it, or the leak is that Dembele has won it, do you think Laporta is going to be like, right, that's it, we're being disrespected, none of us go? Or Paris, same thing with Paris Saint-Germain. Let's not jump on the metro and go to the award.
The thing is, Barca can win it with the women, obviously, because there's a big chance. It could be Alessia Russo or Marina Caldente, but it could
Real
also
Madrid could have won it with the coach last year, and I think did win it with the coach, by the way. And they didn't bother showing up.
Okay, Aita Bonmati is going. So whether Laporta wants to stay in Barcelona, he can, but he will still have a private jet taking at least Aitana Bonmati to the Ballon d'Or ceremony, where she has a chance of winning again for the 3rd year in a row. But the closest you will get to the September 22nd date, obviously, the more people will know. They have to. That's how Real Madrid found out last year, as they were almost boarding the flight, that it was not Vinicius the afternoon of the ceremony.
I'm not 100% clear on why that is. And I actually wouldn't be surprised, given what happened last year, if Vincent doesn't tighten the screws even more. Because you can prepare highlight packages for everyone, right? It's not that part's not that difficult. I think what screwed things up terribly last year is the number of people, some of them before the deadline of the vote. I mean, we both know Ballon d'Or voters.
Yeah.
The number of people who said, that's it, Vini's won it. And I remember speaking to a colleague of mine who is Ballon d'Or voter. He says, like, that's funny. I haven't even sent my ballot in. Should I bother doing it? But anyway.
We'll see. Fenerbahce have a new boss too, Gab. It's Domenico Tedesco. Are you a bit surprised that they pick him to replace Mourinho?
Domenico Tedesco, the Italian guy who's actually German and whose last name means German, but was born in Italy. I am a little surprised because obviously, he took over Belgium. That was his most recent stint. And things didn't quite work out. I think he was accused of being kind of too defensive. But prior to that, he was at Leipzig, which things didn't work out there. It does show, I think, a bit of continuity in terms of being a little bit more results focused, which obviously they had with Mourinho, or they hoped they had with Mourinho domestically. So good luck to him.
I thought they wanted like more spectacular football. Isn't that what the president said to justify the sacking of Mourinho?
I think the president, Ali
president.
Koch, who I've mentioned more times than I thought I ever would in the last couple of weeks. But I think what he said actually was, we want to play defensive. We understand, it's not the Benfica result. We want to do that in Europe. Domestically, we should be destroying teams.
Yeah.
And not really being in peril. And I think that implies more control than what Mourinho necessarily had,
Okay.
rather than just more sort of
Because
attacking.
this is not going to be sexy football. I just hope Fenerbahce fans, it's not going to be.
Yeah, it depends what turns you on. There's different
True.
strokes for different folks, you know.
Still.
Christian Eriksen has a new club.
Yes.
He reportedly snubbed Wrexham. How dare
That's
he?
bad.
For the glamour of Wolfsburg.
Lovely city.
I guess he drives to Vida. I don't know. Jules, what do you make of this?
I guess it's a bit late because they just assessed the fact that they needed somebody like him, a kind of playmaker time. He's
To do what?
obviously-
To finish mid-table and bore everybody again?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. But he still wants to play. This is a decent team, good level in the Bundesliga.
Why didn't he go join his friend Casper? We were making our list earlier of like favorite Danish Danish things that excite us. Christian Eriksen is exciting.
Yeah, I know, but it's a better level than...
Bayer Leverkusen?
No.
I mean, join his friend Casper at Bayer Leverkusen.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant... Yeah, sorry. I thought you meant Kasper Schmeichel, so I was thinking Celtic.
Oh, God.
I mean, no, come on. He can play for Wolfsburg. He can't really play for Bayer Leverkusen at his age, and he's played hardly any football last year, right, apart from with the national team. So, I don't know. I want to see this. He doesn't really have the legs anymore. Well, he never really had them. So, I'm not sure if the Bundesliga is right for him now at his age, but let's see. I'm just excited for him.
He's one of the good guys. We agree.
Exactly.
Yeah?
He's a lovely guy. Australia's A-League will be down to just 13 clubs in 2026, Gab, as Western United dropped out for at least a year. What's going on?
Yeah, so basically they went bankrupt. They became insolvent. Another group was going to come in and buy them out. But I guess they didn't get the money over the line in time. So they're kind of frozen for a year, and they may come back in a year's time. There's another team that's joining the league in 2026. I don't know. I go back to this. In Australia, they decided to adopt kind of a franchise model like an MLS.
Yeah.
I don't know that's obviously there's a lot of people in the US that don't like it, that don't think it's good, that don't think it's right for the development of football. I don't know that the A-League today had the relevance that it even had 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So again, I don't know if promotion relegation necessarily fixes everything, but clearly if teams can't stay solvent in the way they're run, you need to look at this. And a country the size of Australia, maybe they should have more than 13 clubs. Again, there's nothing wrong kicking it down a notch, saying fewer superstars. Let's just grow at our own pace. Let's have promotion relegation. We don't need to be fully professional and pretend we're a little Premier League or a little MLS.
That's true.
A little MLS more like in this case. Morocco and Tunisia have both qualified for the World Cup. Jules, I'm assuming you agree with me that Morocco, on paper, should go further.
Yeah, absolutely. Walid Regragui, obviously Paris born and bred. Regragui doing a great job at the last World Cup, not so much at the AFCON, the last one. There's obviously one to come in January again, where we will see how those teams, Morocco, Tunisia, and all the others are doing 6 months before the World Cup, which will be very interesting. But yeah, on paper, I think they are ahead in their own development and their own level than where Tunisia are. But it's good because not just yet, but they should have almost all the African countries qualify for the World Cup for the first time in a very long time, if not for the first time ever, by the way. So, this is good for them.
It helps when you have another 16 slots in the World Cup.
Yeah, true. Obviously, you're right. Alexis Sanchez is back. He's joined Sevilla. Gab, does he have anything left in the tank, do you think?
I mean, he can bring his experience, his smile, his personality.
Yamal mentioned him as one of the players he liked to watch or something like that.
Yeah. Was Lamine Yamal even born when Alexis Sanchez was at Barcelona?
Surely not. And you wouldn't have seen him much last season because he didn't play that much either.
No, he 434 minutes for Udinese last year, 6 starts. He's 37 in December. Sevilla are in a very, very bad place financially. The club with that weirdo kind of internal father and son feud and all the other stuff that's going on. He's obviously, I'm assuming they're not paying him a lot of money. He's there to contribute. I always root. He's the original Nino Maravilla. So of course I will always.
We want him to do well, of course. We'll be watching.
A court in London has heard how Dutch legend Edgar Davids had some 200,000 euros worth of modern art stolen by his friend who was house sitting for him.
Yeah, I mean, this is a strange story. Also because everything was stolen. Do you think that Edgar Davids would not notice that things have been stolen and would not? it'd be quite easy for him that obviously the house sitter is the one that you suspect the first.
Yeah. Okay. In Edgar David's defense here, to make it seem like he's not just entirely clueless, so he bought all this art. He had a house somewhere north of central London in the countryside, near where you live.
Yeah, exactly.
Presumably. And it was a big house, and obviously he filled it with this modern art that he bought. And then he's like, yeah, you know what? Like, I want to live in central London. You know, I'm a swinging guy, the excitement, the bright lights. So he gets a house in central London. In the meantime, he lets his friend live and kind of house sit for him in the big house. And then when she did, she took a bunch of works of art, and she didn't even sell them on the second market. She sent them, she pawned them at pawn shops, took the money. And obviously when she didn't then get them back, the pawn shop owner sold them. He's recovered some of his art, not all of his art. This to me suggests that Edgar Davids presumably, and in the meantime, when Edgar Davids was like, hey, where's my stuff? She's like, oh yeah, don't worry, Edgar. It's in storage. I put it all in storage for you. I'm guessing he's probably not an art lover, and this is more for investment because, you know, buying art, if you can't look at it, it's kind of silly. Anyway, it looks like he's going to recover it, but some of this stuff has gone on. It's been sold by the pawn shop, by the pawnbrokers to other people. So I don't know if he's going to have to buy it back. I don't know how that works because these guys weren't knowingly selling stolen art, were they?